Hi everyone, I'm playing my Grindel deck again. This time I'm playing against someone who is using Kit, the ID. And on the first game, as you see on your screen now, what happens is that he runs recklessly and ends up being a victim of my accelerated diagnostics combo. Then after the game, he said that he wasn't really prepared to deal with the combo. He didn't know how to counter the combo. But I was afraid at that point that he was quite pissed off about losing to a combo, as some people can be. But instead, he took it very positively and asked how much he should do to counter the combo. And then he asked for a rematch to try to see if he can deal with the presence of a Grindel combo. And I'm very pleasantly surprised by his positive spirit and willingness to learn. Willingness to learn. So I felt very happy about that. So here's the second game where I know his deck and he knows my deck, and we'll see if he can avoid getting flatline this time. And even if he does avoid getting flatline, let's see if he's able to score 7 points before I do. So, ideal opening against Wayland, Magnum Opus, and click 3 times. One of the tips I gave him was to always be keeping a flow of money. If you keep a flow of money, the court cannot meet seasons, punitive, or seesaws you. That's very basic. It doesn't apply to just playing against combo Wayland. It applies to any Wayland deck that might be running a flatline cards. Yep. So on his second turn, he installs a plus crit. That's the second learning point. Obviously, if you have a plus crit in your deck, dig for it and play it. And subtly, he's also exercising the third learning point, which I pointed out to him, which is do not run unless you're prepared to suffer the consequences. He has only 5 credits. He knows that if he even runs, he'll be subject to the combo, power shutdown combo. He'll be subject to seesaws. So he very wisely enough does not run, and so I am not able to do anything. And it's fine for him not to run. Why? Because I'm not threatening any agenda scoring right now. All there is in my remote is a Jackson Howard. So I'm not posing any threat to him at all. I wish I could, but I'm not drawing to my agendas. Usually I'm always agenda flooded when playing with Grindel, but today I'm finding none of my agendas at all. So I'm very upset about it because I'm actually giving him time. He's clicking for 8 every single turn. Suddenly he has 29 credits. I have 21. Now he has enough credits to run with impunity. I finally find my hostile takeover. The good news is that even though I haven't been finding my agendas and I haven't been threatening any scoring, at least I have my R&D and remote set up very nicely. Lines and secure, so he's not going to be able to snatch any agendas from me anytime soon. So, instead of attacking what is most obviously an agenda, he clears my HQ instead. This is another good learning point, because if you know that the opponent is relying on a combo to win, if you clear their hand of any Jackson Howard, they cannot pull off the combo. Of course, they can still draw it from R&D, but that requires them to rely on a lot of luck. So clearing your opponent's hand of combo pieces, the easiest of which is obviously Jackson Howard, because he can be trash, is always a good thing. So now I score that hostile takeover, and I'm looking to score my second agenda, a Project Atlas. Seeing that he has no breakers out and no tutors out, I feel very safe under 3 pieces of ice. He continues to raid my HQ. He wants to make sure that he knows the contents of my hand, so he knows what I'm capable of doing each turn. But right now, I'm definitely not looking to flatline him anymore. It's a little too hard. With him having a plus crit out and having way more credits than me, it's looking quite hard. So now he contests the remote, seeing the 2 advanced Atlas. He runs into an Enigma and an Archer. Alright, that's yeah, that's his mistake, obviously. Against a Wayland who has scored a hostile takeover, you should always be prepared for an Archer. And yep, he wasn't, so he lost his 2 most important programs. But thankfully, he has a clone chip to retrieve his Magnum Opus back, which is obviously the most important program of the lot. Meanwhile, due to his setback, I'm able to score the Project Atlas. Usually, Archer isn't a problem for Shapers because there are more than enough ways to tutor Sharpshooter from the deck. And my opponent definitely was running a Sharpshooter because obviously he's quite a smart guy. So Unfortunately for him, he didn't draw any of his 3 SMCs. You need the SMCs to tutor the sharpshooter. So that's just bad luck for him. That he didn't manage to tutor the SMC, so he has to just run blind and hope that he doesn't hit an archer. So meanwhile, he draws up. I guess he's searching for more tutors to get his Cyber Cypher back and etc. Fourth learning point, I told him, destroy the combo pieces. Jackson's the easiest to destroy, and sure enough, he does that. Always a good move. Always a very wise move. The only problem is that running will leave you open to seesaws or power shutdown. But hey, he has more than enough credits to survive it, so he's completely fine. I get up I ice up R&D as usual because R&D is definitely something to be wary of. If your opponent maintains an R&D lock on you, you might still be able to draw through the R&D lock, but this means that they'll score the 7 points very fast, and the chances of you seeing a Jackson is very, very low. So securing R&D is very, very important. He gets his Zoo Keymaster out, and I show him the Ice Wall. He continues on. I don't rest that, and I stop him with Dead Cold with... Oh no, I don't. That's a Zoo. Can get through the Enigma. Yep, I'm just raising it to tax him, even though I have 2 bad pub. It will still cost him a bit to get through. Yes, he scores a geothermal fracking. So be it, I score my cleaners. Now I'm threatening game here because I have 2 advancement tokens on the Atlas and I have 2 hostile takeovers left in deck. As long as he doesn't run in steal either of my hostile takeovers, I win the game in 2 turns. So he's pretty much on the time bomb here, but he has R&D quite very much locked. I'm not willing to rest the central ice, so he's getting through and seeing 2 cards each time. I'm just hoping that he does not pull the hostile takeover, otherwise I'll need to pump stuff into my remote. And oh dear, he scores a cleaners. Alright, so that puts him on 5 points, which is also match point. That is quite worrying. It means that I cannot give him free access to R&D anymore. And I finally draw into my mid-seasons, but I have only 11 credits, he has 17, I can't pull one off. So unfortunately for me, all I can do is to score the hostile takeover. And now I leave him with 1 turn left to make magic happen. And of course I trash the mid-season since it's no longer relevant. He's not... The next time he steals an agenda, he's probably going to win the game. Alright, he does a smart thing here. He runs R&D, which forces me to use up my hostile takeover to rest the archer. I cannot allow him to see 2 new cards. There's a very good chance that he'll draw an agenda. Since early game I've been drawing no agendas at all. My R&D is choked with agendas. It must be. So I'm hoping that by sacrificing the hostile takeover, I'm able to set him back just enough such that I can pull a 2 or 3 pointer from R&D and score it in the more secure remote. The remote is more secure because the base piece of ice is not a code gate. Simple as that. And of course, now with 2 archers on the board, he can't penetrate through either R&D or remote. So now all I need to do is to draw an agenda and score it. Oh, that was easy. Alright, so once again, he has 1 turn left to make magic happen. And I'm pretty confident that he cannot get through my remote. He'll have to bring out a barrier breaker, a code gate breaker, and something to deal with my archer. That is very, very demanding. I highly doubt it. Even with only 1 clone chip on the board, there's no way he can do it, I think. But we'll see. Yeah, I got lucky there. I mean, alright, let's not play it that way. Thankfully, I rest the archer. Had I not rest the archer, he would have drawn the Atlas to win the game. Alright, he test runs, obviously a Fem. And let's see what ice he's going to use it on. It's probably the archer. Which archer? The R&D archer. Ooh, I didn't think of that. Yes. He made a very wise play. Instead of going for the unknown with the remote. In fact, there was almost no chance of him getting to the remote. What he did was to attack R&D, which he could get through with a single test run and a clone chip to get back the Zuki Master, and he drew the agenda to win the game. So that was it. That was very smart play on his part. He, instead of attacking futilely on a remote server that could be bait, that saw almost no hope of him getting through. Instead, he went for the weaker server, which was R&D, and it definitely paid off. It was definitely, I mean, if you are in his position and you know that the corp is one agenda, one turn away from victory, that is the best shot of you getting an agenda, and he did it, so he completely deserved the win there. Especially now that he used all the tips and tricks that were available to avoid being flatlined or being comboed down by Rundle. So, with knowledge of your opponent's deck and how the game works, it is definitely not impossible to avoid being comboed down by Wayland. That is something that we all should learn to do when playing as runner against a Wayland. Thanks for watching. Hope you've learned about these tips and tricks as well, and maybe you can apply them to your game one day. See you around.